Salam Moors. Sorry, my tape cut off. Continuing right where we left off, dealing with the Moorish Magi's precept of silence. What must be realized is that everyone is not worthy of the mysteries. Saying that for the fourth time. Many are called and few are chosen, and the ones who are chosen are the ones who chose themselves. There is a tendency for one newly learned in these sciences to wish to impart a portion of their fascinating study to their friends and family, in hopes that sharing their understanding of natural law will benefit the life and development of said family and friends. This philanthropic spirit is a natural stage of the student's development and should be nurtured, which is not to openly condone the exposition of divine mysteries to any and everyone, only to note that the age is dawning when the world at large will be ready to receive the keys to this art. It is well now to note that the ultimate goal of every initiate, and the only safe objective to have while venturing into these dark waters of mystical study, is that of perfecting this world of ours by the use of our high sciences. Everything we learn is for the benefit of humanity, for these high sciences belong to humanity. And so, eventually, we will find ourselves assuming a teaching and leadership role. But this is to be done at a very high level of initiation. If anything at all is to be said of the mysteries to those close to us, it might well be done at the beginning of our studies, while we are still learning precepts and basics. Once we enter the practical portion of our studies, involving the use of knowledge to effect changes upon our reality, sharing tidbits of divine knowledge to the uninitiated could lead to disastrous results for both parties. The term knowledge is power, in another sense, translates to knowledge is dangerous, not only to the would-be receiver of said knowledge, but also to he who foolishly discloses portions of mystery to the unworthy. It is known in the mysteries that the teacher accepts the karmic debt for the student during the learning process. The teacher accepts the karmic debt for the student during the learning process, meaning, should you share a certain meditation technique, for instance, or a certain set of power words or phrases, or a spell or something, in an attempt to teach sacred arts to the uninitiated masses, any and all repercussions for the inevitable misuse of divine knowledge will be added to your karmic tab. The victim of your disclosure will not be responsible for the damage they wreak, while you yourself will be punished or disciplined by the higher forces for the works of your student. Consider this a warning. And I want to make a brief aside here too, because that brings me back to part of the reason why I'm doing these tapes in the first place, which is to share principles. I won't be giving any spells out, although I'll be giving reference to books. I'm not your teacher, I'm not your sensei, I'm not your initiator or any of that stuff. I'm just kind of leading you into the Moorish Magi consciousness by degree, and then eventually you'll be your own initiator. Like, if you really want some high science initiation type stuff, go deal with Brother Panic. Because Brother Panic deals with Moorish initiation. And he will take you up to high degrees. For real. Me, I'm just giving you sort of like principles, foundations. Because I notice in our community, there's a lot of people dealing at the high level, but they don't really have like some of the basics. They don't really know what the foundation is about. They don't really understand the language of symbolism, etc. They don't know what the Magi thought process is. So that's kind of the part of the reason of my channel, etc. So I'm going to go on, please. What the student will find when they first begin studying the mysteries is an uncontrollable urge to share what they are learning. They are usually met with indifference and disdain from their relatives and friends who have no desire for mystical teaching at this phase in their lives, being either involved with religious dogmatism or being apathetic, or maybe they're just working out different sums in their life such that they can see no value in the teachings. This is a mild reaction and quite common in these liberal days of Aquarius, although we must remember the days of the torches, pitchforks, and witch hunts, the unholy Inquisition, and the Crusade massacres. I'll say it again. Although we must remember the days of the torches, pitchforks, and witch hunts, the unholy Inquisition, and the Crusade massacres. A thorough and deep knowledge of the history of the mysteries is essential for any sincere aspirant. The possession of such knowledge will illustrate very clearly why this emphasis on secrecy and silence is so stressed. From the fall of Kemet and the rise of Roman Christianity, and even before, knowledge of secret and hidden things has been feared and hated by the dictator priests and their subjects. This fury of hatred still brews in the hearts of those who live, die, and believe under the banner of religious mystery. The lowercase mystery used here implies the unprovable, unexplainable, unknowable doctrines crafted for rulership over the proletarian mind, the antithesis of antithesis of our divine mysteries. What these misinformed believers do not realize is that the mysteries are the foundation of their very belief systems. Only the dictator priests have so obscured the inner meaning of their systems so as to be unrecognizable except with the eyes of understanding, meaning the eye of the Magi, the eye in the capstone. This level of awareness is denied to the masses by their leaders, and as such is only available behind the curtain of the mysteries. The term dictator priest implies those who rule by mystical religious superstition and idol god worship under the banner of dogma, which is Latin for false doctrine. This in contrast to the overarching goal of the mysteries to obtain a clearer conception of the truth of things both manifest and unmanifest on all of the varied and marvelous planes of reality. The dictator priests would have nature and her wonders remain a clubism game of kings, priests, and dictators, while the mysteries in their original form were built around the open and free dispensation of gnosis, with the intention of making every man and woman king unto themselves, priests unto themselves, gods unto themselves. You can see why they contrast. By analysis, one will understand why these two sects clash. The mysteries involve the study of that which is true. The dictator priests have a vested interest in keeping the truth away from their sheep-like believers, and as such have poisoned their minds such that they cannot recognize or appreciate the truth when it comes to them, and will take up arms to defend the comfortable dome of ignorance they are imprisoned within. This unfortunate state of affairs is slowly changing as the ethers change, as the solar system shifts into the Aquarian age. But for the time being, the quote-unquote forces that be and all of their loyally hypnotized subjects will fear, despise, and attempt to destroy you should you be careless with your gnosis. And so we can see that ours is a secretive path. There is merit in the saying of the great teacher, Yehoshua ben Yosef, cast not pearls before swine, and also in the old Hermetic aphorism, the lips of wisdom are sealed, except to the ears of understanding. At an esoteric level, it can be said that silence conserves power, and any magical intention or action is stronger when whispered directly to your subconscious mind and to no other. At an esoteric level, it can be said that silence conserves power, and any magical intention or action is stronger when whispered directly to your subconscious mind and to no other. And so our final and arguably most important precept is learn to keep silent. Islam, Moors. Thank you for going on that journey with me. And I hope that you will study more into those 4 precepts of the Magi and seek to manifest them in your own life. I'm going to go over them again really briefly. It's to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silent. Vide, aude, volle, tasse. Those are the 4 principles of the Moorish Magi that will carry you all the way up to the mountain and take you through the path of the great work and perfect your spirit and bring your body into perfection and basically help you while you're trying to do this magic stuff. To know we're in search of light. Everything is light. Every experience has light and knowledge and understanding for us. We're looking for light within ourselves, which is the higher self, and we're also looking for light in this external world, which is the code of the matrix and how we can manipulate the matrix to our benefit. So to know is to be in search of light. That's what Vadi Makam means. That means come with me as we travel in search of light in this physical manifested world. Excuse me. To will basically means to live from your higher self. Your higher self is your spirit and your soul. That's the divine part of you. The lower self is your animal nature, and that's your desires and stuff. So the lower self does not want you to wake up. If you notice, you have a lot of difficulty when you're trying to do something good for you, but a lot of help from within when you're trying to do something bad for you. So once you get the light, once you cut on that higher self within you, because you're dealing with the light, you're dealing with gnosis, then all decisions, basically all royal decrees that come from within you, all thoughts, all feelings, all actions, everything is coming from that point inside the capstone. It's coming from the higher self, not the lower carnal nature. And that's when magic comes, because the higher self is master of this physical world. The lower self is a slave to this physical world. The lower self is a slave of the demiurge. The higher self is he who wrestles with God, Israel. It's the one who contests with the demiurge. And he's the one who steals the demiurge's kingdom and molds it to his own purpose. So to will is to use the divine power inside of you, of your higher self, to manifest and to never live from your lower carnal animal self. That's the second principle. To dare basically means being brave, being courageous, being a man. Blackbeard Mirage, on his tape, he makes some wonderful tapes dealing with manhood. The Moors are the most manly creatures on earth, but under Roman colonization, they exalted our female over us and killed our manhood, even to the point where there's certain things they're putting in the baby formula that's actually confusing the young males and females, black males and females, as to what their true gender is and what gender they like and all that stuff. So there's a war against the masculine principle, and the masculine principle is the one who dares, who goes out and says, I don't care if it's scary. I don't care if it's unknown. I don't care. I'm going to do it because my higher self is calling me to do it. So you got to be in a daring and a courageous mood to even want to study some high science, because this stuff can get scary. Like, we're dealing with the light side, but when you go to Blackbeard's page, he'll be dealing with the dark side, you know? He'll be dealing with the spooky stuff. If you're trying to really go to your higher self, you're going to have to face the demon at guarding the abyss. And sometimes it does get unsettling, because you're also taking yourself out of the comfortable realm that you know, the physical realm, where everything basically makes sense. You move your arm, you touch the book moves like that. But in the unmanifested realm, you're dealing with spiritual energies and intention and stuff. And spirits will try to try you. Just like people try to try you out here, spiritual energies will try to try you. Your lower self is always going to be trying you, but there are even bigger baddies out there, the archons and stuff, that you're going to have to face when you're journeying to your higher self. Just read chapter 1 of the Circle 7. It'll tell you about all the wars you're going to have to go in with your own carnal nature and with the demons inside of the astral realm while you're trying to journey back to the soul plane. So you got to be brave in this science. It's not just reading, oh, that sounds good. No, it's it's a warrior type thing, a spiritual warrior. Yeah, and the spirit is essentially a warrior at its heart. The spirit is not a priest. The spirit is a warrior who uses, that's what to will means. The sword of Heru. So yeah, the sword or the pen of the Moorish Magi. That's warrior stuff. Like, but in the last principle, to keep silent. Silence conserves energy. It conserves power. But also, silence protects you from the prying eyes and the doubt of all these uninitiated goyim out here, if you'll forgive me using that term. And remember the witch burnings and things like that. Remember the inquisitions and stuff like that. Remember the persecution that people get just for being a little weird nowadays. Imagine if you're dealing with some high science that these goyim have never heard of. Of course you're going to have some difficulties. So silence protects you, and it protects that ideal within yourself too. Because if you're building a thought form, or if you're trying to build a new reality within your consciousness, if you're working some magic, you tell somebody about that science that you're working with, their doubt is going to affect you. So silence is just the code of the Magi. Period, point blank. And also, read the title of the book on the right. Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East. Jesus, or Yehoshua, was a part of that brotherhood. So he gave his disciples part of the science, but part of it he kept inside because gnosis is silent. Knowledge is silent. Like me and other certain people who can express high principles, that's because they already have it inside of them and it's fixed inside of them. So they can share, they can shear a little bit of their knowledge off and give it to you, but theirs is still good inside of them because it's silent and it can't go nowhere. So when you're building your knowledge, you don't want to disperse any of it. You want to keep it all inside of yourself and let it build and build and build until they can see your aura and feel you at 10 feet away, you know? So I just wanted to go through those principles. I hope that was beneficial for you. The Moorish nation will only rise by the will of the Moorish Magi who have attained to the degree of adept. The Moorish nation will only rise by the will of the Moorish Magi who have attained to the degree of adept. The Moorish nation will only rise by the will of the Moorish Magi who have attained to the degree of adept. Hibu, Haq, Salam, Horiyatun, Wa'adl. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I love you, Moors. Let's get up on that science. Islam.